Yellow, it's another week of the Future of Business podcast brought to you by MTN Business. I'm your host, Nombendula Shongwe. Today on today's interesting topic, we have Mr. Sam Shongwe, who is the CEO of MTN Fintech Services. Welcome.
Thank you, Nombendula.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. So Mr. Sam Shongwe has been in the telco business for over 20 years and actually was at the inception of mobile money at maybe 2011. So it's been over 10 years of celebrating Momo. Our topic for today is business acceleration through e-commerce and what Momo can do. So last year we just celebrated 10 years of mobile money. And of course, that is looking at the milestones that we've achieved, looking at Momo and how it has changed the landscape of doing business and transactions in Eswatini. So from Momo Pay to transfer, as well as MTN Momo business. So I'd like us to just tell us more about the fintech and what that looks like for Eswatini as well as Africa overall.
Thank you, Nombendula. We, as an MTN group, we actually launched in different operations within Africa, mobile money, between 12 and 15 years ago. If I may start to talk about mobile money in Africa. As a group, we now boast over 47 million subscribers within the group. I think it has changed the landscape of doing business in the continent tremendously. It's one of the innovations that we have seen come through in the last 15 years, which has actually enabled businesses to actually communicate with their consumers through payments. So the space of e-commerce has actually been something that we have seen grown in the past 10 to 15 years. So today we'll actually be talking more around how we are actually going to accelerate fintech in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
All right, thank you so much. And just looking at the interchange of the words mobile money and fintech, and just trying to give an understanding of the viewers, also being able to our listeners understanding why now are we saying fintech? Why not stick to the Momo? And how has, I guess, use of fintech expanded the scope?
Thank you. Definitely from an MTN perspective, Momo is the way to go. You know, we've got Momo Pay, we've been having Momo Business and so forth. But Momo is actually the channel of how people are actually paying. When we talk fintech, this is tied to our Ambition 2025 goal, the vision of actually building one of the leading fintech platforms in Africa. Right. Likewise, in Eswatini, we also want to build the largest fintech platform, which will actually enable the growth and economic growth in terms of consumers and businesses. So fintech talks to financial technology, using financial and technological solutions to improve the way of lives of the communities that we serve in.
Thank you. And I love how we've already touched on how that speaks to the communities, especially looking at Eswatini. So just to go back to our topic, how can Momo accelerate the businesses through e-commerce in Eswatini? I want us to talk not only of the large scale, but start from the smaller scale of businesses. Like I'll take, for example, someone lotseng semagete. How does Momo feature into that business? The hawkers and your vegetable sellers, your clothing and whatever type of business at a small scale.
Yes, definitely. As I've mentioned, one of our key goals is to change lives or to improve lives. And this talks to financial inclusion. So if we can be able to increase the number of people who are actually included in the financial services space, that also then spills over to economic inclusion. I like your example of a typical vendor. So the vision from a group perspective, and also from MTN Fintech Services perspective, is take Magemota, who stays in Stegi.
Yeah.
Magemota is a vendor. She sells goods and services. Could be a craft, handicraft, and all kinds of services in that particular area that she's staying in Stegi. So we don't actually need Magemota to travel long distances to be able to sell her wares. So let's create a platform where she can actually place those items on a marketplace. So now you're already talking of an online platform. The beauty of that is that actually she doesn't really need to have sophisticated equipment to do that.
Right.
So she can place her goods on marketplace. Then she can also be able to receive payments using mobile money. So someone can buy from Babane goods that are actually in Stegi. And once she receives payment, Margaret can actually put it on the bus and the person receives it, or they can use a courier company, which can also take payments via mobile money. Over and above that, then if she needs to send money, she may have her kids or her suppliers in South Africa. The vision is that we must have remittances going across borders, so she can pay for goods and services across the border. What is actually going to come in future is also enabling her to now also insure her goods and services on the same platform. So we have what we call InsurTech. InsurTech will talk to the ability to insure your goods and services. And then lastly, also what she actually can be able to do, which are services that we are looking at implementing. We've already implemented on the consumer front. We want to implement something similar on the business side, which is basically being able to now get a microloan. If she needs to supply somebody and the demand is higher, she will then need to actually get extra capital to be able to fulfill that demand. That is, in a nutshell, the holistic view of how we actually see the two converging from a consumer space and also to a business. I must say that the growth in Momo business as we see it in the country has actually been exponential, especially in the last 2 years where we have we've had the pandemic years. Yeah. So a lot of businesses realize that I need to be able to do business even when I'm at home without actually being restricted to movement.
All right. So you've touched on a lot of information there, and one thing I picked out is that holistic story around Magemota, and I think it gives our audience the good visual on how exactly does Momo touch on the customer or even on the business, because Magemota at one point she's a customer, a consumer, and then on the other hand she's also doing the business, right? So looking at which point does Momo come into advancing the business. And you spoke about the platform, which could be translating that market from a physical place onto like commercializing it online. And that's something that we spoke about when you talk about transformation, digital transformation. And it's speaking to how does MTN transform the business landscape, speaking to how MTN Momo will transform even how payments are being made, and expanding that the market and even increasing the business opportunities. So when you talk about e-commerce, I think you did explain that it's just a translation from a physical place, the marketplace being online. And I think with COVID, again, you did mention that a lot of businesses have suffered from the need to travel when they couldn't travel. So definitely Momo has come through. Now I wanted to look at all these innovations. How has Momo helped businesses with the innovation over the past 10 years? You've touched on the payment, and especially around transforming from, instead of ukibela uyopatala somewhere, you can just send the money. And what other ways in terms of Momo can the business transform, or how is Momo helping the businesses catch up to the digital platforms and accelerate their way of doing business?
So, Bendulo, in terms of our vision, we actually have what we call unicorns. What has grown and been significantly accepted by our customers in the country is the wallet. That's the first unicorn, which is the ability to send and receive money. So the wallet that we currently have over 600,000 active customers, of which we actually have 750,000 or so registered, but 600,000 of those are actually active, which means that almost everyone in the country has the ability to receive and also pay using mobile money. So I think the growth has been good in that side. We now need to look at the other unicorns. The other unicorns is what I've mentioned when I was talking about Magamota's story. It's actually online payments, which is the retail payments that we're looking at. We've already got Momo Pay online and also online payments as well. We talk about remittances. We want to be able to send money across the border. We are talking about InsurTech. People should be able to do insurance on the platform. And then we're talking about bank tech. Bank tech is the microloans, Momo advances. That's what we'll be seeing later on in the year. We already have Momo loans in the market. But what is key around our business model is partnerships. Right. We partner with all kinds of businesses. So when you ask the question about how have we actually improved, we have not only improved the businesses of our small business, but also MFIs, which is microfinance institutions that we've partnered with, insurance providers, which we have partnered with, which are on the platform. So basically, we are making it easier for all these businesses to actually be able to transact on this platform. And definitely what I always say, my analogy is always say that mobile money is like a highway. So our platform is like the highway, but we are creating an ecosystem. When you are traveling to Johannesburg or to SA, you have Share Ultra, you stop by the side, and that's where you actually do all kinds of transactions. Yeah. We actually welcome all kinds of businesses to partner with us, be on the highway, so that when you are close to our highway, you'll ensure that you are part of all the economic activity, because it's easier for people to transact with you. So when we then look at the history, going back in terms of how we've transformed the way of lives of Liswati, in the past 10 years, we have seen a lot of increase in terms of the traffic, in terms of mobile money payments. But significantly, one of our greatest achievements was when we actually got a partnership with our government. Right. So through Momo Business, we are now able to do social grant disbursements. Mm-hmm. We have been doing social grants disbursements with other NGOs who have been actually either trying to send economic stimulus into our communities. But the partnership with government has actually assisted us to grow even further and actually increase the ecosystem, because as you know, a lot of people in the country do business with government. We are actually moving forward to increasing the number of services with government. We've launched a couple last year, registration, payment of registration. We've also looked at registration of companies, payment. Right. So that is actually ongoing.
Okay. That's a lot of milestones, definitely. And what I've marked on that one is the last point you made on the government, on how exactly the government actually opened up the market. And that speaks to the inclusion. Now you look at Gogo, Nabomkhulu, those who are the beneficiaries of the social grants, they get to participate in that. Someone maybe who would ordinarily not be qualified, maybe would have been excluded from our financial sector. But what Momo has done is include those people. And I think also when you look at the transformation that was brought about by the partnership with the government on the payment for the car and whatever e-gov services that you would need, it really, really, really transforms the life of Liswati. On a personal note, I know the time you spend aligning the Gahulumende because of so much need, but with that Momo coming through, definitely it does impact not only the consumers but the businesses. So thank you for that. So thank you for that. I want us to talk now on zooming in on the SMEs, like your smallholder businesses. What advice would you give to them in terms of what are the benefits? I know you touched on potential for when you use the platform, you actually have access to new markets.
Yes.
You do have access to more businesses around, once you create an ecosystem that is efficient. If I'm around, then I get more businesses. So what would you say to encourage those businesses?
I'll start off with what I've actually mentioned in terms of if we are talking over 700,000, to be specific, about 741,000 are registered on the platform. Mm-hmm. And you're talking on a monthly basis, we are having over 600,000 active subscribers currently. On a monthly basis, we are having transactions worth 500 million that are actually happening on the platform. Which business wants to miss out on that? Each business wants a share of that. So if someone does not actually have cash on them, but have mobile money, and you do not have mobile money, they cannot be able to pay. So they will look for the shop that actually has the Momo Pay sign on it. But over and above that, we want to create the ecosystem which will enable you, we've already got that happening currently, enable you to receive mobile money and also pay your suppliers using mobile money.
Right.
And also what that means is that you have more time to your business than you actually getting out to go and deposit money and so forth. You can actually do that in the comfort of your business. The beauty of it as well is that it does not require a lot of technology. We have a USSD platform. You can be able to actually see a statement of what you've actually done.
Yeah.
And when you do transactions on mobile money, what is also fundamentally good with this platform is that you have a track record. At the end of the year, you can be able to account for every little cent that you have spent. Meanwhile, if you have cash, sometimes you may not be able to get a receipt and be able to account properly. With this one, you'll be able to download everything. So the Momo Business platform that we have, we actually launched an upgraded platform in December, which now actually enables you to do a whole lot of other things. Right. You can arrange everything by either supplier, payments you've made, and so forth. And it's all on a web portal. So you just get access to it and you can see everything. And you can make payments in bulk.
So dispersing your salaries can be done on the platform.
Your salaries, you can pay salaries using mobile money, and you can pay all your suppliers all at once.
All right.
By creating one bulk payment.
Okay, thank you. I think so. Those are the benefits. So not only in access to markets or even opportunity with over 700,000 subscribers, but also I think I like the part about the payment and being able to track that. I think for small businesses, you usually have to think about the extra costs of having a platform to track your transactions and all of that. True. So if Momo is that one place where even doing your taxes will be easier, because you're able to account for that. And I want us to talk, maybe looking forward to the part where we'll talk about the loans for the businesses. I know cash flow is very, very important and it's tight for businesses. Currently, for consumers, we already have up to 600 Malangeni for a loan. Yes. And we know that just that week before payday, that money goes a long way. So for the businesses, you can imagine if the customers or consumers are strapped for cash, how much more impact would that have for the businesses? And maybe tell us more about, do you have any plans within the year or in the next couple of years around that? Because I think it really, really would be impactful for the businesses.
No, definitely. Under our unicorn of bank tech that I mentioned earlier, we're talking more around loans and lending. So we're talking savings and lending. Maybe just to start off with something that's actually exciting for us, which through our regulator, we were able to actually get a approval. Because remember, we previously had one MSISDN or one ID to only one account. So that actually restricted us, because if we're talking already 740,000 registered, how many more people can you get in the country? Where else you probably have a side business that you have. You might need a separate account for that business. And then you might need one to do your savings. So now a person can have up to 3 accounts.
Right.
And we are working on that configuration and we'll soon be launching that so that for our consumers, they can be able to do that. And they can also play in the business space as small business people, because now they can actually have a business account under their ID. Now, when we talk about businesses, existing businesses, how can we look at assisting them, especially with capital?
Yes.
We are in partnership with some microfinance institutions who are also excited to come into the space. Remember, we are not a deposit-taking institution. We are providing a platform, and we thrive on platforms that we actually, or partnerships that we actually have on the platform. So in this coming year, we are looking at introducing other exciting products that will enable our businesses to be able to tap into funding for their business. So Mare, who's actually a vendor, Mahlanya, his stock today normally uses 500, but because there's a soccer match happening at Somhlolo, she needs stock with 1,000
Extra, yeah.
so she can just apply sitting there and then send
Quickly.
an application, and she gets that loan. So that for me is something that will definitely change the landscape of doing business without moving back and forth to make applications. And what's very important is if you do take payments using mobile money, you are now creating a track record that even any credit analyst will be able to see how much funds are actually going through your business and how much is going out. Like I'd mentioned, that the Momo Business Platform enables you to do all that. I think for me, we are heading towards exciting times in 2022.
Most definitely. And the part about lending and the need for businesses to actually have that cash flow, like that instance of I need extra cash today.
Yes.
There's no time for me to actually have like maybe a 3-day, the traditional waiting period for approval. That instant loan definitely does transform even myself. I know that when you have a side hustle, actually you would love to have your business sorted out, because eventually you're baking money ends up buying electricity and and then it ends up being confused, and you're not able to do that proper information that is required for lending. So now let's go on to looking at the advices. You've definitely touched on a lot on the benefits and how exactly that would transform that reality of a business person. And digital transformation is everything. The way we're doing it and how it's changing all the way from the traditional methods to our digital ways, which is Momo. Now, when you're looking at the new offers that we'll be introducing very soon, I think what can be important for the businesses or even those individuals who are interested is how many accounts can I have? You touched on I can actually potentially have more than one, but how many exactly? From my MSISTN, actually, that is a very technical name, but it's a phone number.
Yes.
From my phone number, how many could I actually have? Would I have a savings? Would I have a business? And to what extent? Can I have 3 businesses linked to that? Do we have those details by now?
So from a consumer space, it's what I've mentioned, that you should be able to actually have more than one account. You can have 3, a savings, a business, and a transaction account. So, but to come to your question around businesses, businesses can have as many accounts as they want. A business can actually have branches in different areas, and that can all be accommodated in our platform.
All right.
What is also very key with businesses is that because we take full KYC, which is your customer information for businesses, unlike consumers which have a wallet limit, but thanks to the central bank that actually increased that limit at the start of the pandemic, where now you can see that they can actually have more than the 4,000. They can actually have up to 50,000 in terms of an account. Your businesses don't have a limit because they are fully KYC'd. They actually have presence where we know where they are. So that actually is an opportunity. Someone was actually saying that I just thought mobile money is for 25 rand and what, but it's actually a platform that enables all businesses to actually do business. When we talk of the 500 and something million transactions, worth of transactions that are happening, those are happening through partners in terms of businesses. If you talk of Momo Pay, we are already seeing a growth, exponential growth in the last year where we have seen a lot of business now starting to take mobile money as a form of payment. So that's actually grown from your 10 million a month to close to now 90 million a month, which means that people are realizing that I can actually use this platform and I don't have limitations. And I think that is where I really, really want to actually thank our regulators to actually be able to keep the balance between the risks in terms of AML and so forth, but also try and increase financial inclusion through these innovative means that we're actually putting on the ground.
Right. Yeah. And I think the last point you're making on accessibility, the financial inclusion, when you look at Momo and how accessible it is, it really does invite any individual, whether you have your small business or you're just a consumer or in any case. And of late, I know that we've already started introducing or expanding that scope on how many of our subs, Now we've got the elderly on Momo. Now we're also going below with the minors. So I think that speaks to the market and lack of exclusion. So now I just want us to look at, as we're looking at the benefits of MTN Momo business, I think it should be exciting for anyone at whatever stage. What is their call to action? Where do they start? Like if there's a hawker or a vendor, as we have said, example of Magemota. How can Magemota start? Like where does she rise and start?
So that's a good question. And if you think about the fact that, because as a fintech business, we leverage on the GSM business, which is basically MTN as a business.
Yes.
MTN already has over 1 million subscribers. So everyone has a cell phone.
True.
So if you want to actually take part and you are not subscribed as a business to mobile money, we have over 15,000 agents on the ground where you can actually approach and ask for them to assist you. Over and above that, MTN has made a concerted effort to actually put foot soldiers and trade marketers on the ground in every corner of the country to assist you. So when you see someone in yellow, they can actually assist you to be able to be onboarded. And that process doesn't take long. And we actually endeavor to ensure that we always try to decrease the turnaround time. It should be as instant as possible. But definitely the future is around saying, or the call to action is to say, if you're not on Momo, please get on board.
Yep.
Don't be left behind. We are touching every sphere of business. We are talking Momo Go. Momo Go is coming in where we'll be able to say now people must be able to even pay transport fares using mobile money. The fact that every individual can take 10 Malangan and give it to you, then every individual should be able to take 10 Malangan from their device and send it to you.
True.
That's what we aspire for.
Okay. So that speaks to how exactly that the ecosystem will work and how it touches on everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. So in conclusion, just want to emphasize that the time to start is definitely now. And you can start with your mobile device. And anywhere you see this yellow, you are welcome to definitely get the assistance that you will need. So in parting, what are your last words? I know you've touched on security that the businesses can have. You've touched on the expansion of markets. And in parting, what will be your last words?
So thank you for the opportunity for having me here to speak on mobile money. I know sometimes when we talk about mobile money, I can talk until the sun goes down. But in everything that we do, we are law-abiding citizens. We need to ensure that we adhere and comply to the regulations of the country. So firstly is to say to all our agents on the ground and all the businesses on the ground that are actually Momo subscribers, let's adhere to what the AML and compliance regulations state. We have our teams on the ground that are continuously trying to train and create awareness around that. over and above that, there's also the issue of fraud prevention. If you do actually experience anything like that, please call MTN and let us know what has actually happened. We have seen such instances happening where people will actually impersonate MTN employees and call you. We never call anyone. That never happens, that we'll call anyone and tell them to change their PIN and so forth. No, that does not happen. So there's quite a number of scammers out in the market with all sorts of innovations. People actually try to scam the consumers. We will continue to ensure that we make sure that our systems are protected so that people can make sure that their money and funds are actually safe. That's what we commit to our customers. But we also commit to continue to educate customers around the spheres of AML, protection against fraud, and so forth. So when you hear the programs in the radio, on social media, and so forth, please just listen, because one day it could be you. Sure. Everyone has been scammed in their lives, and some people will not tell you. Even the likes of myself have been scammed before, but even though I come from a digital space, but that always happens. So let's listen to the messages that come out there, and also let's help those who do not understand to actually fully become part of this digital space that we're in. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So thank you so much again for joining us today. We have gotten so much insights, especially the future of Momo and fintech and how that will play a role in the e-commerce and the local businesses. Now, again, I'm your host, Nombendula Shongo. It's been very fun being with you today, and let's do it again next month. Thank you.